deadly tornadoes in Kentucky, some questions for Vice President Kamala Harris, and Elon Musk, this year's Person of the Year. Welcome to Political Drinking Games. Welcome to Political Drinking Games.
Hey.
Crewneck Day, huh?
Crewneck Day. I also feel like this is our third show together.
Yeah.
And my rule of thumb is like once you do it 3 times, you're in. So cheers to us, my
All
friend.
right. Officially in bed. Officially matchy, a little bit matchy.
Very
Bad
matchy.
radio.
This is what happens when you hang out for too long.
Bad radio for those of you who are listening to us on Apple or Spotify. But, Crewnecks are back. We're very happy to be back. Aria's back. Political Drinking Games is back. Bad weather is back.
Bad weather came quickly.
I thought that Christmas was supposed to be the happy time of year in between like the nor'easters that mess up people in Boston's lives.
Yeah.
And the tornadoes that come in the spring and the hurricanes that come in the fall. But everything's topsy-turvy, huh?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's Mary Poppins' bag of weather. What are you going to pull out today? What are you going to pull out tomorrow?
Whoop.
It's all in there.
Whoop.
Yeah. Truly.
Woo, let's just hope there's not an earthquake here at HQ. So this is Political Drinking Games. We play 3 drinking games if this is your first time with us. The first one is Would You Rather? I think it's sort of self-explanatory. Then we play 2 Truths and a Lie. We'll have some fun there. And then, of course, we've got to kill, fuck, marry some, whatever the drama this week is.
Yes.
So,
all roads lead to kill, fuck, marry.
They do. It's the game of life. They should just call it the game of life. All right. Well, obviously, we have to start with mortal consequences. This sort of very sad story out of Kentucky, by the way.
You're a home state.
I'm a home state. I'm a Kentucky Commonwealth, son of the Commonwealth here. A lot of people dead. The numbers vary. Anything more than 0 is pretty sad, but
Totally.
Seems like the number is going to be around 100 probably at the end, it sounds like.
I mean, it really depends, I guess, on when the end is. At the end of the day, when it comes to tornadoes and that kind of level of destruction, unfortunately, you can end up finding bodies for quite some time, in my opinion. But
right.
Everyone you know is okay.
Everyone I know is okay. But it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing when you say, people say, well, is your family fine? And I said, yes, they're fine, fortunately. But unfortunately, for a lot of other people, they aren't fine. So
right, absolutely.
It's a weird thing to say.
It's a weird thing to say.
All right, so let's talk about natural disasters for a second, okay? So way too many people have lost their lives. Any number greater than 0 is too many people in Kentucky. But these disasters, they're really hard to, what do you do? They're very hard to prepare for, right? Do you build $1 billion worth of flood levies, building codes, seismic retrofitting?
Yeah.
But it sucks when they happen.
It's terrible.
So I'm just going to ask you, knowing that, life is complicated and there are limitations on what governments and communities can do, would you rather invest your money in preparing for disasters like these? Or do you think it would be wiser? Would you rather invest your money in responding to them when they happen? I mean, this is a question that our leaders have to make, right?
And you're asking this from a 2021 perspective, not from a 0 CE, if you're building from scratch.
Well, I don't know. Do you think maybe the Romans should have had a better aqueduct solution?
I
Less
honestly
lead in the pipes?
Expected more from them. Yeah. No, I will say responsive only because I want to be more responsive than proactive when it comes to responding to severe weather and natural disasters, because it's only going to get worse. I hate saying that. I'm sorry. Sorry to be that girl, but it's only going to get worse. And I hate the idea that we're going to prepare for something and then what happens is going to be so much worse than what we prepared for that we have no more money to react to that.
Well, it's almost like a military stratagem, right?
Right. It is.
I'd
rather be reactionary than proactive when it comes to military as well.
Okay, but let's flip that on its head. Okay?
Sure.
You know what they say, what the prevailing philosophy of American defense policy is with the military is deterrence.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
But thankfully, when it comes to natural disasters and the weather, there's no terrorist organization involved. I mean, unless you're considering Mother Nature a terrorist organization, which these days she definitely has that level of vendetta, it seems. But I don't know. I'm glad that we have seismically retrofitted a majority of the buildings in Los Angeles. Yeah. I do think that levees are important. But and we could have a whole hour talking about fires and forest preservation and all that. But at this point, I think response is where we should be focusing on, and it raises a lot of questions that I generally have about FEMA and the response of FEMA historically.
Oh, you want to go there? You want to throw some shade?
Yeah, I'll throw some shade. Absolutely.
Okay,
I feel like in our lifetimes,
get
it out.
Yeah.
At this point in our lifetimes, FEMA has, do you have examples of like, good job, FEMA?
Okay, so should I like take my Washington Insider?
Yes, please. For those of us who like live in this hole where like when you say FEMA, I think about Hurricane Katrina.
Yes.
Help me understand what FEMA is and like how I'm supposed to feel any semblance of pride or like supporting that organization.
So here's what they say. What they say is government employees, they're like unionized. They're like they have tenure. This is a thing in some professions.
Like professors.
They have tenure. Like you can't fire them once they've been around for a while. So what they do in Washington is if they're a really bad employee and you can't fire them from the Department of Education or the EPA or the Treasury where there's sort of day-to-day consequences to your work, what you do is you take them, you put them in the toilet, you pull the flush lever, and the pipe spits out at FEMA. So it's all the worst employees in the federal government because most of the time they don't have anything to do.
No way.
So that is why you get the sort of brain trust, the FEMA brain trust.
Yeah, because I think back to Kanye West.
Yeah.
In the wake of Hurricane Katrina saying George Bush hates black people. And I was like, hot take for sure. There's probably a lot to mine there. But my response would be like, no, FEMA doesn't care about anyone.
Yeah, well, it gets to the limitations of government, especially federal government in Washington, D.C.
But like you would think that at this point, given how much this keeps happening and how bad all the natural disasters are in North America specifically, you would think an organization like FEMA, a government-funded thing, would be in any way better prepared to show up.
Well, wait until you see like the org charts from FEMA down through all the state and local agencies.
Can we get a hacking organization to hack into the government and get the org charts from FEMA, please?
Or
I'm
maybe
looking for the FEMA org charts.
Yeah.
You can DM it to me on any platform. I would love to see them.
All right. Okay. Well, let's talk about another man-made disaster.
Okay.
It's called inflation.
Ooh. Almost as bad.
It happens when you light money on fire.
Yeah, truly on fire. You're just running down the street with flaming dollar bills.
Right, just the Federal Reserve and the Treasury just incinerating cash. All right, so inflation is a boring word, but it's a part of all of our lives. For example, why are the fucking eggs Benny like $23 now at brunch?
That's actually a perfect example of inflation.
Right, the help wanted sign.
Yeah.
Help wanted sign outside of every Chipotle.
Everyone
can't get workers, and now in the sort of Wagner Act, hard-nosed world of labor versus management, Starbucks in Buffalo unionized. That's never happened before. Kellogg's, the cereal company, on strike. I didn't realize.
John Deere earlier this year, not even that long ago.
Midwest is getting
unionized. The unions are strong in America.
Yeah. So I guess I'll ask you, Ari.
Sure.
The question to me is. Inflation's ripping. We feel it in our pocketbooks. It manifests in different ways. Would you rather view the, quote, inflation crisis as a huge opportunity for workers who have sort of had their wages more or less stagnant for a generation, or an economic disaster for small businesses that just don't have the scale to keep up with these cost increases?
You tricky bitch.
You tricky bitch.
That is such a hard question.
But that's people's job is to find the answer to that question.
No, I am a self-professed union guy. I like support unions. I think unions are important.
Have you ever been in one?
I've worked for one.
Yeah.
I worked for SAG-AFTRA for a while.
Okay.
I will be transparent. You can find that about me on my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I've never been a part of a union, no. But I do think that unions are important. I think unions are critical.
Yeah.
But I also think, small business runs the United States. At the end of the day, like corporate business makes all the choices.
Yeah.
But the actual thing that keeps people alive and afloat in this country is small business.
So I've done a lot in my life to like try and keep unions from having power and to kind of keep the American worker down so that they can compete with like the Chinese wage slave.
Okay. Wow. I don't love that for you.
That's called being a Republican operative in DC.
Operative is the correct word. Yes. Yeah. Operative.
Yeah. I don't know how you can look at like the fragmentation in America and not see that one of the root causes is that labor has no power.
Totally. But aren't we seeing that reach its like sort of moment of chaos this year? I feel like that's for me, 2020 was about the pandemic. 2021 was about the worker.
Right. I mean, so I want to really put it on the nose and say, I think a little wage correction for labor is a good thing, and a little more power for the working man is a good thing. But the horror stories of no one can afford the shipping container to get the shitty Christmas gifts out of China to here, except for Walmart.
But then the president put a tax on shipping containers sitting out in the ocean, and then you know what happened? The shipping containers started to leave, and they started getting sent back. No, that's laziness. That's not the same. I think that's my biggest problem with this, the Great Resignation and the general conversation around labor right now is there's a lot of like, no, people are, lazy. And I'm like, no, people are underpaid and overworked, and like Chipotle doesn't provide you with breaks.
Right.
So yeah, there is a help wanted sign outside of every Chipotle. I do think that we should be working on increasing the minimum wage. I do think that like we live in Los Angeles. I filled up my tank yesterday of gas and I spent $85.
Well, you could just move to Arizona or something.
I could, but how expensive is it to move? At the end of the day, is that going to be much better?
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, I think that's sort of my point. Is I'm pointing at my script notes here.
You point at that.
And I want them to listen. Is that there are a lot of causes for an inflation, and I think it is some of this is a man-made disaster. Like if the port of Los Angeles was in Texas or Florida or something like that, you couldn't tell me that they would have so many problems getting goods in and unpacking these ships. I mean, this is Gavin Newsom's America, strict COVID protocols, and it's a problem for the whole country.
Yeah, that's true.
But hopefully it's a problem.
There are a lot of problems within that entire process.
Right.
Obviously, there aren't enough shipping containers.
Yeah.
We have logged, shipping containers all over the world.
Yeah.
They get sent to China, they just stay there. They get sent here, they just stay here.
Yeah.
So
you're picking the worker here?
Well, you've pinned two different types of workers against each other. I just want to look at the camera like, he gave me a terrible...
Karl Marx.
Listen, yeah, truly that. Gave me a terrible set of circumstances.
Proletariat against the bougier proletariat.
Because I do think that like small business is, the thing that is important.
Right.
And I'm a kid of someone who runs a small business.
Yeah, me too.
I want small business to succeed. But inflation makes me have to side with the union a bit more, because I do think union workers, this is the moment. And I think that they have to now set a precedent that will, I'm really going to say trickle down. That will eventually trickle down to smaller business.
Yeah, they're real.
No, they're not. Fake news.
Here we are.
Fake news here to rub.
Here we are in Sunset Boulevard, where trickle down economics is like wearing a KKK hood or something like that.
What are you taking?
You. Yeah. I think workers, if you're in a union, you have a contract that you can renegotiate. 90-some% of the workforce is not in a union. And so these big events in history are sort of their chance to renegotiate their contract. So I want workers to have a better deal.
Same.
I think that having fewer people in poverty is probably a good thing in the long term for this country. The
use of the word probably sent shivers down my spine. I'm going to say it is good to have less people in poverty.
It's a good thing, but I'm thinking about the people who own the restaurants and own the small shops, and they're going to have a problem. They are having a problem making ends meet. So it's a very difficult question, and someone can run for office and fix it. We will just throw slings and arrows at them from here in this studio.
Yeah, I will throw one sling before we go, one big arrow before we go at the government printing all that money.
Yeah,
really did it. I think that we would be remiss to not talk about the printing more money than existed prior during this pandemic to save the economy. I don't mean to like say they were, malintentioned, but that did something.
You know who that my hero is? Joe Manchin.
I should have known. And you like her as well.
Oh, Kirsten Sinema.
Tell to camera. Can we get the camera right on Alex? Let me love
look
language for her.
Die right up the middle of this camera. Kirsten Sinema is America. She is America's team. Joe Biden is not Joe Biden. He's all right. Joe Manchin is America's team, and they're gonna keep another couple $1 trillion from being incinerated.
That is what they're up to these days.
That's what they're up to. They're like, how can I keep this money out of the furnace?
The furnace is just everything that is America.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Okay, all right. Let's go deeper into Washington.
Okay, go.
All right, Vice President is
Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Deep exhale before we do this.
Okay. Yoga.
All right. What do you want? What do you want?
I want you to give her some career advice.
Yes. Wow.
She's very successful though, so that's
she is very successful. I mean, history history changed. Moments changed because Kamala Harris is now the Vice President of the United States of America.
Right.
That is an important moment for many people and will remain historical no matter what happens now.
All right. So now you're in my bear trap. So
yeah, find me. Find me here.
Wiggle your
Feels
leg
like a saw trap here.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's caught me.
So if you believe the polls, we like to throw shade on polls from time to time on political drinking games. Vice President Harris is at like Dick Cheney level lows of approval ratings. Something like 30 to, on a good day, maybe 40% of Americans approve of her performance on the job. I don't really know what that term means, but it's what they measure. 30 to 40% of this country says she's all right. By the way, we're talking about the woman who was first in line to the presidency behind a guy who's had 2 brain aneurysms. So she's all vice presidents are important. She is an especially important vice president.
She's close, yeah.
All right, so the talking heads out there in the media, they've explained this the ways you'd expect them to explain. I'll take Jonathan Swan and Axios. Do you read them?
Sometimes. It's that they swing big.
They're sort of like neoliberal dad clickbait.
Clickbait, yes.
Yeah.
100. The way that they write their titles, I'm like, oh wow, you want me.
Like how you can hang on to your like $5 million home and also affect climate change positively.
Truly
like
that. Very that.
Article.
Yes.
Swan at Axios has reported that people close to the center of power in the Democratic Party say her poor performance is sexism and gendered criticism. Those are their words, sexism and gendered. Peggy Noonan, you remember Peggy?
No.
Aunt Peg?
No, who's Peggy?
Peggy? She's like kind of boomer right-wing Shakespeare. She was Ronald Reagan's speechwriter. She writes a column
I see. I was like, where is that? Like, talk to me about what that then means. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so Peggy Noonan penned an op-ed about that, and she said, I'm going to quote Aunt Peg here, Kamala Harris, came from a generation of California Democrats who never even had to meet a Republican. She only had to speak Democrat, and then she said like 1,000 words more stuff about.
Where did that get printed? Do you know?
Wall Street Journal.
Oh,
yeah, that's where Aunt Peg's been for a while.
Okay, good for Aunt Peg.
All right, so I told you you're gonna have to give Kamala Harris career advice, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so if you're on her staff, would you rather be sending her? Well, you'd probably
be
quitting your job soon.
I would be jobless, unemployed. Immediately.
If you're on her staff, are you sending her to a training camp, to Peggy Noonan's training camp to learn to talk to Republicans?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you sending her to Jonathan Swan's training camp to teach her how to fight back against the boys?
Oh, the Republicans. This is okay. Listen. Can I get the camera? Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, America.
It's me, Aria.
Hey, it's Aria.
I have thoughts.
Calling to say hello.
First-time caller, long-time listener, America.
Listen, America.
Yeah.
I voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I'm a left-leaning human. I'm not happy with the performance. I'm not happy with the show. I'm not enthralled. And I personally,
you gonna vote for the sequel?
Most likely. I would like to see a larger ensemble, and that is my American belief that we are only good when we are together. And
this is like the type of DNC soup that tastes like nothing. What
but
are you
here's
saying?
the thing. This is what I'm getting at. We as liberals are bad at talking to Republicans. And we do a bad job and a disservice to good Republicans by being like, you are the enemy. That narrative must go. I don't think that that's going to solve her problem.
Yeah.
That's not going to fix it, Kamala. Sorry, babe.
Yeah.
But out of those two things, that's the thing I think that we need to get better at.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do that, then like no one's going to win on either side. We're just going to keep doing this thing where like the polls are bad. The polls are bad. Yeah, the polls are bad because we're just hating each other.
I mean, I feel like she's like very indicative of that side, that sort of side.
She's also problematic on the left too. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's not like the left loves her. I think that there are good things about her in terms of like, you know, I think she's a good speaker. She's slightly charismatic. Her husband seems great.
Yeah. Like
I think there are good things about her, but like her track record, not my favorite thing.
I mean,
I don't know how I feel about like she's from California. She doesn't know how to talk to Republicans. I'm like, there are Republicans here.
She got beat in her home state by Andrew Yang.
We love to see it.
This is someone who
she was a really intense DA that was very pro incarceration, and that is a dividing reality on the left.
Well, I mean, I think that's sort of, I mean, that's her. She's pro whatever gets to the next level.
Yes, which like probably was the only choice that she had as a female of color. I understand the like struggle of that, but that doesn't mean that like she has to fight against the boys. I don't like that the options were learn to talk or fight back. I'm like, well, sorry, I'm going to learn to talk rather than keep fighting. Wouldn't you agree that fighting is getting us nowhere?
Well, so here's, I guess that's sort of the point.
Don't dodge the question. Don't you agree that fighting is getting us nowhere?
No, but I think especially it gets Kamala Harris nowhere because it's the only thing she's ever done.
Facts.
My opinion as someone who is not liberal, not woke, I can count on one hand how many Democrats I voted for in my life, is that Democrats want to cast their leaders now. They want to cast it like a CW show, and they want to have one person of this color and one person of this gender, and that's how they want it to be. And so they saw Kamala Harris and they said, this is Barack Obama. Mixed race, woman of color, big state, we've got our next Obama. She was the next Ted Cruz is who she was. And I think people are just starting to realize that,
Yeah. She was not my choice for VP.
No.
I knew it was coming, but I wasn't happy about it.
No.
And I'm from California. Yeah. I voted for her. Oh, I voted for her as senator.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah. I think I voted for Linda Sanchez or whoever she was.
Yeah.
That was one of the five on the the monkeys.
On the small hand.
What's the monkey's face? Yeah.
Yeah, I someone help her. Someone help all of them.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, as someone who is liberal and voted for them, they're losing us. We are walking away from them with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And that is scary as an election cycle comes closer and closer, is that they are losing young people in a way that is sketchy.
Did you see, be careful what you wish for. Did you see this week the Wall Street Journal said that
out here standing the Wall Street Journal.
Well, the Wall Street Journal's been just on fire lately. I'm going to be completely honest. The Washington Post, fire. Wall Street Journal, fire. New York Times lately,
a little icy.
Yeah, it's like they don't know what to do if they don't have Trump.
It's just COVID.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I want COVID numbers. I want to be daily updated, and you know what? And the daily stays strong, so it's fine.
That's right. The
daily stays strong.
They should rename the New York Times just the Daily.
I'm into that.
Yeah, and then just print it. The Daily, the Gray Lady.
You'd probably get more people to subscribe.
Wall Street Journal polled Latinos 50-50, Republican to Democrat.
Talk about people who are walking away.
Yeah.
I think Donald Trump did a really good job of scaring the Latino voter. Communism scares Latino voters.
Yes.
As it should. And, it's easy for people on the right to point at people on the left and be like, communists.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't look at Joe Biden and think that's a communist. I don't. But I get the narrative. And I do also think it really is. The Democrats are going to keep having this problem because there aren't huge tent issues that we can all get under.
Right.
I think the right is very good at being like, taxes. We're going to lower taxes.
Right.
And everyone, whether or not their taxes will be lowered, run underneath that tent.
Right. Look, Latinos starting to realign as Republicans is totally predictable. Right?
Totally.
People come to this country, they spend time here, they stratify, they become part of the fabric. Who in their right mind who actually believed that demographics is destiny bullshit that they were feeding us 5 years ago?
Totally.
It's just not.
It's actually a racist thing to do.
Right.
Full stop.
Right. Now you sound like my heart. It's why do we look at the way people look and say, well, this is what they want, and this is what they feel, and this is what they think? Right. No. People stratify. They come to this country, and we all get better. Okay.
That was sweet. People come to this country and they do get better.
Yeah, we that's what we do here. Yeah. I'm a melting pot guy.
Okay, we're gonna need a whole episode about the melting pot.
Things that are suddenly controversial, right? Two truths and a lie. We're gonna talk about Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk is the person of the year. I think a few years ago he would have been the man of the year, but he is the person of the year for Time this year.
Which I also was not about.
Elon or Time?
Elon as person of the year for Time. Time honestly can stay because I do think the covers are as strong as ever.
Yeah.
And for me, when I buy a newspaper or magazine, it is about what's on the cover, and Time stays strong.
Would you go so far as to say that Time is dated?
That got really esoteric in my mind. Sorry, what did you mean?
I was making a bad pun about
Okay, cool. Okay, great. So yes.
Yes. Print journalism's dated. So are dumb jokes that no one cares about. All right, so Two Truths and a Lie, Life of Elon. Now, we're going to break with our journalistic integrity, or what little bit of that we have, to do this week's Two Truths and a Lie.
Okay.
I'm going to give you opinions about Elon. I'm not going to give you he graduated from the Wharton School of Business and blah, 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 blah. We're going to give you Two Truths and a Lie about our feelings.
Okay.
All right.
Fun.
So one, he's cool. I mean, he was dating Grimes, I think, for a while.
For a while. They just broke up, I think, just a few months ago.
Like, not just a pop star, like an indie pop star. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he's got a bad haircut.
Yes.
That's part of being cool.
That is part of being cool.
He's an American. We can debate his biography and define an American. And he's the world's top businessman, as the Twitter stands seem to think.
Okay. Wow.
Are you keen to throw any of these away?
American.
Really? Why? You have to be born in this country to be an American?
Well, for me, when I think of Americans, I think of not people who live like Elon Musk. And also, he's not American. For those who don't know, like he was not born here.
Is he a citizen?
I would assume he is at this point, given how much money he's running through this country.
I wouldn't have like trillions of dollars of cash flow in a nation where I'm not a naturalized citizen.
I mean, like you could. I mean, I do think Elon Musk is cool. I think like he is weird.
He's very weird.
He's weird, and that is cool now, which honestly is great. I love that weirdness is cool.
Well, no, it's
being
cool
weird
if you're
is
rich.
cool.
Anything is cool if you're rich.
Yeah, no, being weird and not rich can be scary.
Being weird and poor is someone down on Sunset Boulevard that you avoid. What is this person in the weird colored coat doing?
No, I don't know. I think that his brand of weirdness is kind of cool. I think there are weird attributes that we can talk about that he doesn't have that I'm like, oh, those are not cool.
Yeah.
But his weirdness, his sort of nerdy honesty, his sort of what he thinks is very witty.
Yes.
Like his Twitter.
Yes.
That stuff is colloquially cool now. I think it is.
I think Elon Musk is like someone who's been displaced from another century and put into ours. Like,
wait, from the past or from the future?
It could be either, but I was going to go with the past here.
Okay.
But I'll play that game that he's actually from like a Martian civilization.
It's possible.
Could be. Wouldn't put it past him with that haircut. Yeah. Okay. I think like the Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie generation of CEOs, haters like to call them robber barons. They had that like Teddy Roosevelt was like the man of the era, just like a very determined person with a lot of wealth. And he's like, I want to do this, so I'm just going to spend my life doing this because I want to do it, and with my force of personality, I will make it happen.
Okay.
And I feel like Musk has that in him, where like his behavior doesn't always make sense. It's just like, I want to go to fucking Mars.
Yeah,
I'm tired of sitting
really
in
does.
traffic, so I'll start boring tunnels.
But I will say he's not my favorite, and I don't think he's the best. I think Bezos is better. I think Bezos is smarter. The ecosystem that Jeff Bezos has been building and will continue to build, I personally am sort of like, oh man, that person actually is going to run my life in 5 years. Everything I do will happen through a Bezos-owned thing.
Well, I mean, Amazon has pretty much said, we'll just do everything in the world better than everyone else.
And I mean, right now, as we were talking about shipping containers beforehand, like I did buy all my Christmas gifts off Amazon because I knew they were going to make it.
Yeah.
There was no question in my mind.
Yeah.
And that is power right now, is the dependability is power. And I don't know that Tesla is actually as dependable and as accessible as everyone thinks it is. They just think it's cool. I have hot takes to give there, but I will spare you.
But this is something worth lauding too, because I think that there's also there's a huge place, especially in America, for people who say, I'm going to build the next thing.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what we do in California. We build the next thing. We don't do the last thing. We do the next thing out here.
Yeah.
So I salute that. He's an American. Who's more American than Elon Musk? He came here from a foreign country.
Kristen Sinema is more American than Elon Musk.
Kristen Sinema is America's team. That's true. That's a fact. And I'm going to have to eat that take.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of this debate, you come here from a foreign country, you start a company, you start many companies, you create wealth, you get into the culture. Like what do we value more than these things in this country?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm going to change my take as we go because I get to play it that way. I'm going to go with he's the world. The lie for me is the businessman part. Also because he didn't create Tesla. Yeah. And I think that is my, like, the hill I'll die on is like that person made SpaceX, yes, but that person bought Tesla, and in the purchase of it, the rules were made so that no one could say that he didn't make it. And like that is like dark business. But I think that Bezos is more impressive to me.
So I'm going to compliment you here. I think this is you being very persuasive, because I don't know how I can objectively argue, given what we've discussed, that there isn't a better businessman out there in the world. Like whoever the new El Chapo is, for example, might be in the discussion. But he is not cool. I don't care what people say. He's not cool. He's just like a rich, eccentric guy with companies that people think are cool.
Well, did you think Steve Jobs was cool?
he was charismatic, at least.
Very, very.
You know, like you can watch Jobs videos from 30 years ago and
takes
they
your
still
breath
stand up.
away, honestly. Yeah. Truly. I mean, that man, the ability to speak in public like that and really get you excited about something that you had never heard of before and made no sense, actually.
Right. Which is effectively what Musk is trying to do. But he just doesn't have that. He's got a lot of other things.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, this is, I think, also a product of the times, right? Like, being cool 20 years ago is being able to stand on stage and wowing people.
Yeah.
Being cool now is like being great on Twitter and like having cool things and Mars.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's cool. Like people, it seems like space travel is like the cool thing that literally all the kids want these days.
I'm for it.
It's like a Supreme shirt and to go into space.
That's the only fix for like environmental
right.
problems.
That's cool.
Yeah. We just got to get people off this planet.
Yeah. I mean,
just
William Shatner first.
Yeah. I forgot about that. All right. We've been talking about Elon too long. I guess he is cool if we're going to spend 15 minutes talking about him.
I guess so.
All right. We got to kill, fuck, marry now, though.
Okay.
All right. The grand finale. This is my favorite part.
Me too.
All right. We're going to take a swing on this one. So I've got pop culture crises here.
Okay.
Now, what do I mean by that? I mean like product placements, sort of social snafus that have badly damaged brands, and let's kill, fuck, marry them. This is coming. I'll start with the newsy aspect of this. So if you watch the Sex and the City, I don't know what they're calling the new Sex and the City show.
And just like that.
Boy, what a boomer name.
I mean, it is. Yes, we can. I'm gonna have to go on another show and talk about and just like that.
I mean, I could add a module to this too. All right, so spoiler alert: I won't say the character's name, but a major character dies on a Peloton bike. And what you actually looked it up? How much did their valuation fall?
In the day after that episode went live, it fell 11%.
Right. So
11% because a character died on a Peloton.
Right. So here we are. So we'll start with Peloton.
Okay.
Sex and the City reminding us that this happens from time to time. We're not that far away from this summer when Delta Airlines was in hot water for having the same name as the Delta variant.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever used the name Delta in their corporate stationery either.
Really?
I think they did like COVID, 11-3, whatever.
That's crisis management.
That is crisis management. And we're getting to the end of the football season, so we have to talk about the Washington football team. They were the Washington Redskins until the last season.
I can't believe that no one had a creative thought. Not a single creative thought entered the room. They were like, the Washington football team, which also is like, you're not even in the state of Washington. You're not even there.
I think that's the point, though, is that they're like, well, if you've got a problem with our name, then get fucked.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. Redskins was bad, and it had been bad for so long that you would think that at some point in the 10 years leading up to this change, somebody was like, well, we can just do this. But no, alas, Washington football team.
So you're going to kill that?
No. Football's hot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to fuck football.
All right.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I'm going to fuck football.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to kill Delta Airlines crisis.
I'm also going to kill Delta.
Because this variant naming system's so dumb. Like, I feel like we just live in a world where we don't want to blame people or, like, it's just everything is so offensive that we have to give these variants stupid Greek-lettered names.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
I mean, I don't fly Delta.
Yeah.
Sorry, Delta. I'm sure your stock is plummeting as I say that out loud.
Right. Welcome to the new crisis.
Yeah, I mean, I will never forget being a kid and we were on vacation. I don't know where we were, Florida.
Yeah.
And some guy was like, we were on a tour. We were one of those families.
Yeah.
And the guy was
here's
like,
the Orange Grove, here's the swamp.
Yeah. And he's like, do you know what Delta stands for? And we were like, what does it stand for? And he was like, don't expect luggage to arrive. And I was like, from that point forward, I was like, I'm not flying Delta anymore.
Do you know what they say in the South about Delta?
Huh.
Whether you're going to heaven or you're going to hell, you got to go through Atlanta first.
Wow. True.
Delta
you do. Yeah. So I'm going to kill Delta for sure.
You're going to kill Delta. Yeah. I want to be clear that I don't have a beef with Delta Airlines. I just don't like this. Like, we can't have any negative associations ever in our society. So if we were to name something, for example, where did the Delta variant come from? That's the point. No one remembers.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, I did end up doing quite a bit of travel during the pandemic.
Yeah. And
I did a lot of research because I was a little scared.
Yeah.
The airplane's actually one of the safest places to be. The way that air circulates, the way that they had really figured out the process. Delta had been consistent about like the middle seat. We're not going to sell that middle seat. There was a moment where they could have really come out and been like, lol, it's funny because actually when you get on a Delta flight, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But everybody was, I think, too scared to do that for obvious reasons. Again, that would be another crisis because you've got 800,000 dead Americans or whatever. But you know, it's,
you can't tell the truth. It's
you can't.
You
just have to
It's very dangerous not to buy the party line on this stuff.
Totally. So I guess I'm gonna marry the Peloton.
You know, I'm gonna. So I either gotta marry the Peloton or the Washington Redskins.
It's either the Washington football team.
The Washington football team.
If they had come up with a better name, I would have married them and been with them forever. But
I mean, I thought the Peloton thing was so dumb in the show, to be honest. Like, anytime you watch a reboot where everyone's had 10 years of plastic surgery and
it's not great. Sorry, HBO.
I mean, you just know that these are just dumb things that they wrote into the script because they couldn't afford to pay an actor.
But you know what's interesting, and this is from my brand marketing history and also just like my like culture vulture history of like. The fact that they had written Peloton so distinctly into that script made me think, I was like, well, you told Peloton you were doing this. You had to get licensed for this.
Yeah.
And then when the stock fell, then they put out, also it's my favorite form of crisis management when you can come out and like, oh, that person who died on that show now is in our ad, thriving.
Right.
You know, like he's in bed with a woman and they're talking about like wanting to ride. I'm like, yes.
You know what's funny about that is I bet that, are we going to say his name at this point? We're gonna say his name.
Yeah, we're gonna say his name.
I bet. Okay, just turn this off if you.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Trigger warning. Spoiler alert. I bet Big wound up making as much money as the whole cast of that show.
100%.
Just by doing that spot.
100%.
Yeah, just by doing
everything
that spot.
about his Instagram following went up.
Yeah.
His like calling card went up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did more spots with him now.
Yeah.
He's a charismatic actor.
Yeah.
I did like the spot also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was crisis management. I actually thought that it was the plan all along.
Yeah, could be.
But no, I have friends in the industry now who've posted stuff
chess.
And they've shot it. They literally shot it, edited it, sent it in one day.
Yeah. Well, that means I have to deal with the Washington football team.
You're marrying them?
No. What does it imply to marry the Washington football team?
That's dark, babe.
I don't know.
It's a lot of linebackers.
I mean, a lot of rough play in the showers.
Rough play.
Not
rough great,
plays.
love.
Here's where I get tripped up with the Washington football team. Is I am really against, as in case you can't tell from what I've already said, like that everything has to go through sensitivity training. Now, with that said, the Washington Redskins probably was a name that needed to go through sensitivity training.
Yeah.
But I just despise that part of our culture so much that like nothing can be edgy or emotional or humorful.
But like it was such an
opportunity.
But it was an opportunity. Like they could have like, wasn't there a baseball team that also the Indians? Didn't the Cleveland Indians change their name?
Yeah.
They didn't become the Cleveland baseball team.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it was an opportunity for them.
What are they called now?
I don't watch baseball.
It's some insight. No one does.
I don't watch baseball.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a moment when you change your name.
Yeah.
This is branding 101.
Yeah.
When you change your name, you get to make a lot of new stuff that people then want to buy.
Yeah.
Like this was an opportunity to create a new slew of products and things. Everything could have been smarter.
Well,
instead, now it's an orange hoodie with a W on it. And to me, I'm like, that's not where I'm at emotionally in my closet.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm looking for.
So I gotta fuck that.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I fucked that.
Yeah. All right. And now I guess I'm stuck with Peloton. I hate Pelotons.
I know.
I hate these are like all of these things. You know what? All three of these subjects are just instances of like runaway virtue signaling. Like I have a Peloton. Oh, I've arrived in like the new upper middle class. I also get $5 coffees. Get fucked. Like we have to call it the Delta variant. We can't call it the Indian or Pakistani or Uruguayan variant. Like we can't say things that might be offensive. I'm not behind that.
Okay, I'm gonna take.
Yeah.
Isn't this like the way that we do this though? Like, don't we name variants like in the Greek alphabet in the same way they name hurricanes off of the list?
Now we do.
But is that a new thing?
Yeah, like Lyme disease and Ebola. Like these are the places where they came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is Lyme?
I think it's in Connecticut. Or it's somewhere in New England.
Yeah, you got to check yourself for ticks. It's that season. Check yourself for ticks.
A lot of foliage there.
Lots of foliage. You're just floundering around, getting Lyme disease.
But I guess I'll stand by my take. If there's something that we are going to censure for just like kind of being past its time and past due, it's probably the Washington Redskins.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the laziness for me, babe.
Yeah, and you know what? We're wearing crew necks in a podcast studio, so we are kind of Peloton people.
We are.
Yeah. So
Sunset Boulevard's right there. Somebody's riding a Peloton across the street. I probably can see it from outside of our studio.
Yeah. So that is who we are. And
it is.
Let's just make peace with it and live with it.
I can do that.
All right. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
That has been our political drinking games as I drink water.
My coffee was fun.
It was fun. It gets you amped up on something. I'm Keen Dog. This is Aria.
Hello. Goodbye.
We're on Erupt in many places. Erupt.news, at Erupt Now, on all of your socials. You even do TikTok with some veracity.
I do TikToks, yeah. Come find me, and you can troll me on TikTok. That's a safe space. We're okay with it.
Yeah, we're very pro-trolling.
I talk about sports actually quite a bit. Yeah.
All right, sporting man. Yeah. But for now, that's it.
That's it.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Ho, ho, ho.